Hey folks, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to do something a little bit different for my channel. Usually I'm checking in every week and doing the Budget by Paycheck Workbook, but I'm finding that while I love being in the book and tracking all of my expenses that way, I actually wanted to find something that was a little bit more robust, and that aligns with why I'm even recording this and the goals for myself. As a reminder, in case this is your first time, because I have a feeling that the YNAB budget group might be a little bit different than the Budget by Paycheck Workbook group. I am 60 years old. I'm looking to retire in 2 to 3 years, and I started the channel as a means to track things, be accountable, but also to share for people who are like-minded, who might be in the same position as I am, or maybe facing it in a few years. So when I realized I kind of needed something else, I did a little bit of investigating, and I found that You Need a Budget kind of ticked a lot of the boxes that I wanted for this extra piece of reporting or a tool. So I have gone ahead and downloaded the app. I'm currently in the trial phase, and I probably have like a month left because they give you more than a month on the trial. I've gone ahead and linked all of my accounts, and I've spent a little bit of time thinking about and creating different categories. And they don't necessarily match exactly what's going on in my Budget by Paycheck workbook, which I'll have to figure out how to handle that, because if I'm using each one to kind of help me with the other, I'll have to figure out what the crosswalk is between the two. But those categories may change. So the first part of this video is going to be showing what I decided to do for the categories, and then the last bit is to talk about what I want to do with this ready to assign. So first of all, if you're new to You Need a Budget, it's just a budgeting application that is really designed to be a every dollar gets an assignment type of budget. It also really pushes no debt. If you have a credit card payment in your application, it pushes you to say, okay, well, you've made this credit card purchase, you need to fund it now. And it'll be front and center saying, hey, fund this credit card payment. So it gets away from that. And I did this for years. I was guilty of it for years, where I would use my credit card for everything and just pay it off at the end of the month. Well, that's fine until you have expenses that you can't cover with your regular paycheck, like I ran into last fall, which is kind of what got me into a little trouble, and also what precipitated me recording these videos to get out of the debt that I got myself into last fall when I had a $10,000 bill for some work in the basement that I had to put on my credit card. And so I worked diligently for months and months, and then last month I finally paid it off. But then a week later, no, it wasn't even a week, it was just a few days later, parts of my house started losing power, and the electrical panel in the basement started sparking and smoking. So of course that was we need to fix this right away situation, and it was not quite $10,000, but it was a little over $8,000, which of course I promptly put on my credit card because I had not saved any money. I had a little bit of money saved up, but I cleaned out my bank accounts, and I still have $3,000 or $4,000 that is on my credit card account that I need to pay for, so that I can minimize the amount of interest fees that I'm incurring. So this is hopefully going to help me with that in a similar but different way that the Budget Mom Budget by Paycheck workbook was doing. The one thing I like about this is it's more holistic, and I think it's more future thinking is the best way I can put that. But I am going to go ahead and get into how I set up my categories, and if you're interested in learning about You Need a Budget, I will have a link in the description and you can go out and check that out. They have a lot of videos out there that explain their system, so you should be able to find something that suits your needs, that gives you more details than what I'm giving you. So the first category I created was a temporary category, and part of it is going to be I'm going to use right now, where I'm setting something aside. Maybe I've funded everything that needs to be funded, and I've got an amount that I know I want to pay, but I don't want to put it in a category, like what's going to happen a little bit later when I assign the money that's up at the top in green. It's just kind of a little holding area until such time as I'm ready to pay the bill. I don't want to put it in the bill because I have an expectation there might be some things that get underfunded along the way. It's just too early in the cycle of my paycheck budget in order to assign it permanently a home. And You Need a Budget really pushes you to be, 1 month ahead. So thinking ahead, I went ahead and created a next pay period and a next month category so that when I have funds like this that are ready to be assigned, and I don't want to go forward a month and actually assign them into categories, I can just put them in kind of this temporary category to be assigned a little bit later in the month after I know nothing's going to come up that I didn't plan for. Because that always happens. Something comes up where it's, oh, yeah, I've got that. I need to take care of that. The next category I chose to add was a homeowner, and it just has the mortgage and maintenance and repairs. This may change a little bit, and homeowner and household are kind of similar, but I like to have them separate, particularly when my mortgage is paid off. I need to be able to track things like my home insurance and also my taxes for my house. Those are currently coming out of escrow, so I want to have a specific place for that, both for the sinking funds categories and for the homeowner category spending category. So those are there. I also have utilities. These are just the basic utilities. They don't include things like the subscriptions. Some of those are considered something else or they're considered entertainment, and we'll see those in a moment. But I do put the date that all of these are due so that when I have my paychecks, and I get paid twice a month, typically the paychecks that I receive, whether I receive them on the last day of a prior month or the first of the month, or I receive them somewhere between the 14th and the 17th, they're typically applied to the 1st and the 15th for one of the checks, and the 16th through the end of the month on the other check. So what I did was I made sure that all of the bills that were coming out automatically and that I have to pay every month have a date on them so that I can quickly classify them, but I've also created these views that will pull them out for me to be able to quickly assign money to those every paycheck when I have a ready to assign amount. So those are my utilities. And by the way, you can see that some of these already have either been assigned money and they've had activity, meaning that we've already paid them, or I've assigned the money and it just hasn't been pulled from the account yet. And this is how You Need a Budget works. You assign money for a task, and then when it clears, your accounts are all listed in here. I do have them linked, and it'll post, and then you just go in and say, yep, this is good to go, and it will post it on here, and it'll show you all the activities. I have a pet care account. They just the typical things that you would expect to see. I will need to cover something new for the vet and medicine. They went last. I have two cats, Corbin Dallas and Ruby Rod, and they went to the vet last month, and they got a couple of vaccines, but they were telling me that the feline leukemia, if they don't go outside and they're not exposed to other pets who are outside, that it really wasn't necessary. No, don't get a vaccine if you're not going to be exposed. And I agreed with them. However, my son is his girlfriend is going to move in, and they're going to be living in my basement, and she has a 7-year-old son as well. He'll also be moving in, but they have a cat, and their cat is outdoors. So I will have to take the boys back to the vet and have that done at some point. I'll give them a call next week and get that sorted out, but I'll have to figure out how I'm going to cover that, because I expect it's going to be a couple $100. I have a variable expense account, food, health and dental, personal, and then also the bank fees and interest charge. I do have some assigned for food and other things that I expect to have to pay out this month. I've already assigned some of it, but I left what is not needed in this ready to assign, because I'm going to tell you what we're going to do with that in just a minute. I also have a household account, goods and supplies, furniture, electronics, and appliances, and I'm considering getting ChatGPT, and I'm putting that in household because I use it for a lot of different things, and I would think that that would be the best place for that, or at least that's how I'm thinking of it. And I don't know whether I am or not. It's $20 a month, but I use it all the time, and I'm always being told, I can't perform that calculation because you can only do 5 in a day, right? So I'm considering that. We'll see. I also have a transportation category, and it has the typical things you would expect to see: car insurance, maintenance and repairs, fuel, personal property tax, and the vehicle registration. These are, they don't have a target because have a sinking fund that is transportation that will cover these things when the time comes. I have an entertainment category, which has all of my streaming services. If I get any books or go to any events, that goes here. And then I also have season tickets to a local hockey team, which next year I will pay for that with sinking funds, but this year I had to put it on a monthly payment, and they don't charge any fees for doing the monthly payment, so it was, there was no benefit for me to be paying it all at once, and I was able to put money into the debt, which is what I've been focused on so much these days. I do have a hobbies, outdoorsy, crochet, gaming, and sewing. I have a gifting category, birthdays, Christmas, and other. I have a short-term savings, which is always going to equal this amount that's right here, will always equal my sinking fund balance. And this is just a simple savings account in my regular bank account. So these are all my accounts. I have checking, savings. This is the credit card debt that I was talking about that I'm trying to pay off by October. I have a mortgage, and then these are all of my retirement savings that I'm just tracking, and I'll reconcile those at the end of the month. After short-term savings, it's memberships and subscriptions, which are things that don't fit into All of the other accounts, they're just memberships and subscriptions for things. I will be doing You Need a Budget, but again, I've got at least a month before I have to worry about that. Amazon Prime is coming out this month, but I had a sinking fund amount for that, and I pulled money from the sinking funds account or the savings account into the main checking account, so when that posts, it's already paid. I also have a long-term goals and investments, which includes a car fund and a 10K fund. I do contribute monthly to a Roth IRA in addition to all of the contributions that I make from my workplace. And finally, I have a credit card. I've already put in actually more than 1,090, but I've already put money in this month when I closed out my first paycheck, and I plan to put more in. When I was doing my kind of preview of the month, I was hoping to be able to put in $1,400 during the second pay period, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that. I'm already at $1,384, so I guess at the most I'm going to put $1,300 extra in. The other thing I wanted to note is You Need a Budget. It really pushes that you don't have credit card debt. And so during this pay period, so let me just show you, there have been a couple of charges on the account, $5.99 for Amazon Prime Video, and there was a bank fee here. Well, what You Need a Budget does says, well, if you've paid $5.99 in entertainment for a movie, they don't say you have it in your credit card. They put it in the category and they say you need to fund this now because you've overspent. And so it kind of forces you to not do that credit card float. It says, okay, you really need to pay this now. Obviously, you don't have to. It would just be underfunded or you've overspent or whatever. But I like the way that they're thinking. It's like, let's not put money on credit card. That's kind of what I've been trying to do here this year anyway. So it just kind of helps me keep that going. So even though I've paid more than $10.90, it's only going to show that because those other amounts are in the different categories. And that's pretty much it on my categories. I would like to point out that I created a couple of views to help me during the ready to assign times when I receive a paycheck or when I receive funds through other means. And this just is based on what part of the month it is, the 1st through the 15th or the 16th through the end of the month. And it kind of breaks them up into when these things are due. I also have a sinking fund view so that I can quickly get to my sinking funds if I want to apply some extra money to those accounts. In other words, transfer the money into my savings account. I also have a special funds, which are my long-term investments. So eventually I'll get there. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but I wanted to create them because I'm trying to build something that is going to last. The other thing that You Need a Budget does is it actually adds these underfunded, money available, and overfunded views already in the system. So if we go to underfunded, this is showing as underfunded, and I'm going to show you why. So even though I've made $1,000, I have told the system that this amount that I have on this credit card, I have to pay it off by October. In reality, I think November is when it has to be paid off, but I'm trying to err on the side of caution, make sure that there's a zero balance, because it's very important with the agreement that I made with the bank, is that it has to be a zero balance at the time that the statement comes through. And so what I've done is I've keyed that into the system, and You Need a Budget is telling me that in order to meet that goal, you need to put another $480.13 more this month to meet that goal. Of course, I'm going to put well more than that, and then next month it's actually going to adjust, and it's going to say, okay, well, since you put extra last month, you don't need to put quite as much in this month. So I like the way that works. It's helpful. You don't have to perform those calculations on the fly. And then, of course, we have the money available, and this is just saying that you've assigned money, but it hasn't been spent. Yeah. So that's how that works. And then overfunded, which I don't have any, means that maybe you have a goal of $30, but you assign $40 because you think that the fuel is going to be a little bit more this month because of just prices. Say typically you spend $30 a month on fuel, and I know that seems crazy, but I don't drive anywhere. I work from home, and there are some months I don't even spend any money on gas. But let's just say that for some reason the gas prices are higher than normal, and but you normally spend 30, and you put 40 in there just to cover it. It'll show up here as overfunded. So that's how that works. So let's talk about what this means. So I have $1,384 in my checking and savings accounts together, because that's where my cash money comes from, that I've not given a job. And the job that I want to assign these funds is I want it to pay for my credit card debt. But even though I've planned for what could happen this month, nothing's foolproof. And so I've created these temporary set aside, hold, wait for next pay period. I created these so that the money can be held for a task, but I don't want to assign it, and I certainly don't want to pay the bill, at least that particular bill, yet until I know that everything is covered for the month. So I will not pay my credit card bill until the end of the month, when I'm within a day or two. Sometimes it's even the day that I receive the check. It depends on how close the month is. So I am going to put that whole amount, in this set-aside fund. And then if next week when I come in for the checkup or check-in, and say the pets had to, the pets had to go to an emergency vet visit, well, then I can pull money from this set-aside fund, pay for the pet visit, and not worry about it, because I'll have those funds sitting there. They should be paying for my credit card debt, but if I didn't pay for that other bill with the money, that I would be adding more credit card debt. So it's a balance. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there, and now I don't have any money that is ready to be assigned. And so this is pretty much the schedule, and I will tell you what that is just a second. I'll have to look it up. So I will still be doing the budget by paycheck workbook. That's still the plan. But I will be including the you need a budget planning as well. And I will have my normal budget by paycheck check-ins on Saturdays. I will have the Monday before the last Saturday of the month, I will have a next month check-in. And I've been really loose about the next month kind of things, but I will go ahead and try and be a little bit more consistent on that for the budget by paycheck workbook. And then I'm going to be adding in this you need a budget weekly check-in. So I will check in on Sundays for the you need a budget. I'll just go through, make sure there's nothing either underfunded or overfunded, fix all of that. I will also apply any income that may have come in that would need to be assigned. I'll take care of that on that Sunday check-in. But then I'll also, every payday, I will come in and assign the money from the paycheck. And then finally, the last thing that I will be doing is doing a reconciliation either on the very last day of the month or the first day of the month, depending on when my credit card hits. or not my credit card, but when my paycheck hits. It's just going to depend because I want to get all of my bills paid, and then I want to reconcile. So if we look at this, what that means is I'm going to make sure that whatever is in here is cleared, has all been assigned a category. I'm going to make sure that if I have any charges or I have any payments, that they're all listed and everything is assigned appropriately. I'll also make sure that my mortgage account has been updated to account for whatever I have added. And finally, I'll also be updating these tracking for my retirement goal. Now, hopefully every month we'll see this go up. We'll see these two go down. And the hope is that once I start building the sinking funds, these will also go up. But I think that's like months away. It'll slowly start to build. I'll slowly get a month ahead, and hopefully all of that's going to work out, barring any other $10,000 bills. So that's what the schedule is going to look like, and the next video will be budget by paycheck check-in. And yeah, that should do it. I'll talk to you then.